Okay, so we continue with the Saddhā. So last week on Wednesday, I was talking about the Saddhā that comes with practice, Bhavana Saddhā, or Okapanna Saddhā. Then this type of Saddhā, it comes with real clarity into the object of meditations, or different objects, and then you can able to notice the different stages of development. As the development go further, therefore also the faith factor also becomes clearer. At the same time, the faith also becomes as a power in the sense of it prevents skeptical doubt or all kinds of impurities from coming in. As we go deeper and deeper into the practice, not even enlightenment yet, now at that time, even the hindrances, the thinking, the thoughts, the fogginess of the mind, the skeptical doubt, those type of states of mind, unclear, and all these things become less and less and less. Sometimes the mind becomes so clear, even that time, all this type of thinking, doubtful states, indecision, and so on, all these things doesn't come in. And because of the clarity of the mind, because of experience, the past experience, and so on. So this one you will keep on practicing and practicing until you reach to the until the enlightenment is reached. So let's just go back to the screen sharing. Now, so here, okay. Can you see? All right. Okay. Now, so this Pakati Saddhā, as I said, this is serene faith, the Okapanna Saddhā, the trusting or mentally developed type of faith. And then that is the one that we have talked about. Now we go to the third one, the Adhikama Saddhā or Avejjapassaddha, attainment faith, the unshakable faith, the unshakable confidence. So we're going to see into it for tonight. What is this number 3 then? Okay. Now in this number 3, this Adhikama Saddhā or Avejjapassaddha. Now here when a yogi reaches the hold on now. Got to remove a lot of things. Forgot to take. Hold on. Okay. Now, here the Adhikama Saddhā means that the yogi has practiced and practiced fully in the sense that it touches upon the path and fruition of a Sotapanna. He touches the path and fruition of a Sotapanna, and he becomes an Arya, a noble one. And here he becomes the yogi becomes a Sotapanna. Okay? Now, total confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the triple training, the Sikha, the triple training. So, these are the 4 factors of a Sotapanna. 4 factors of a Sotapanna. Now, here the Sotapanna, the one achieved the Sotapanna because of the eradication of skeptical doubt and also the wrong views. The wrong views here, if you look into the factors, then you will spread you will split into two in a sense of wrong view and also oh, can y'all see? Nothing. Okay. All right. Nothing, huh? Okay. Good. Okay, hold on. Can y'all see? Can? Okay, good. Now, as I said, this Adhigama Saddhā, Avejapasada, attainment faith or unshakable faith. Now we have become into the total confidence of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and the triple training. The triple training here, let me mention it again, is the Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So these are the four factors of a Sotapanna. And the four factors here is because of they eradicated the skeptical doubt and the wrong views. And the wrong views here, these are, as I said, if you split them again into the two factors, then it's the factors of wrong view and the factors of and the factors of this what do you call that attachment to the rites and ritual. These are also wrong and a kind of a wrong view also. So and here this type of total confidence, we also have to be a bit clearer, This is not like a blind conviction or a blind confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. You see, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha here is not in the books. For example, doesn't mean that a Sotapanna cannot question anything on the sutta, He can still be able to question because there are some of the things he may not know. Just because he inquires something doesn't mean he's doubtful. His mind is open. His mind is wanting to have answers. And also during the time of the Buddha, many monks are not so knowledgeable like what we have right now, that all the talks of 40 years of the 45 years of the Buddha has been compiled into Sutta, Abhidhamma, Vinaya. And during the Buddha's time, they don't have this so-called luxury of having all these Dhamma talks and all this. They only have a few Dhamma talks and they remember it well. They may not know every of the Dhamma. But these enlightened people, they know the Dhamma of the practice. And they know the Dhamma of the practice. Say, for example, today I was trying to look for the one particular sutta, which I find it quite interesting, but I couldn't find it, but I remember it, The sutta mentioned something like this. At one time, a monk was meditating. And then the Buddha came, So the Buddha came, and then the Buddha sat down on a prepared seat. Okay. Then the Buddha spoke to the monk. The Buddha spoke to the monk. He says, in the past I said that some things are permanent. Some things are impermanent. Some things are impermanent. But I think that there's something that must be permanent. The Buddha said, something must be permanent. And then this monk was beginning to doubt the Buddha. And then when he began to doubt the Buddha, he says that usually the Buddhas don't retract their words. Once they say it out, that means they say it already. They don't like go back on their words and then they retract it, and especially on this permanent and impermanent. And now the Buddha is saying that some of the things are permanent. Then the monk He begins to know. This one is not the Buddha. This one is the Mara. Yeah. Now, once he understood that this is the Mara, then the Buddha changed into Mara again, or the so-called Buddha, it changed into Mara. And once it changed into Mara, and then realized this is the evil one. This is the Mara coming to tempt the monk. So you see, although the monk sees the Buddha, he thought that this is the Buddha, but once he comes into the Dhamma, then he knows that this is not what the Buddha said. Then he kind of like he knows that the Buddha was not able to will retract these type of words and so on, And this number of a number of suttas are connected with this Mara and also the Dhamma and so on, Maybe let me show you one of it now. Okay, let me show you one of it. Let me stop the sharing, and then let me start with the Kindle. Okay, can y'all see Gotami? Can Wait now. Let me go a bit bigger for y'all. Gotami, can y'all see? Okay. This Gotami, this is a Kisa Gotami. Okay. At Savatthi, then in the morning, the Bhikkhuni Kisa Gotami, dressed and taking bowl and robe, entered Savatthi for alms. When she had walked for alms in Savatthi and had blocked myself. Returned from her alms round, after her meal, she went to the blind man's grove for the day's abiding. Having plunged into the blind man's grove, she sat down at the foot of a tree for the day's abiding. Then Mara, the evil one, desiring to arouse fear, trepidation, and terror in the Bhikkhuni Kisagotami, desiring to make her fall away from concentration, approached her and addressed her in verse. Why now, when your son is dead, do you sit alone with tearful face? Having entered the woods all alone, are you on the lookout for a man? You know who is Kisa Gotami or not? Now, for those of you whom you do not know who is Kisa Gotami, then you better go back to your Sunday school Dhamma class or something like that. Then go and learn all the stories. Yeah, this Kisa Gotami, before she became a nun, before she became a nun, she was a lay person, and at one time, tragically, before she became a nun, her son passed away at about 2 or 3 years old, and she was distraught. She's full of depression and fear, and do not know what to do. So when she approached the Buddha, asking the Buddha whether she can able to revive her son or not, because she loved the son so much. Then the Buddha says, if you can able to get a mustard seed from the city of Savatthi, that comes from a house where there's no death occurs in the past, when no death occurs in the past. Mustard seed, a mustard seed. So she went all around Savatthi to ask for that mustard seed from the householder, from the house owner of those houses. So when they want to give him that mustard seed, she said that it must become with the condition that there must not be any death inside the house. So she could not able to find one. Because she could not able to find one, and she realized her predicament, she realized her her that these are the universal truth, she went back to the Buddha. Then only she realized something, you know. So that's why the Mara mentioned here. Why now, when your son is dead, do you sit alone with a tearful face, having entered the woods all alone? Are you on the lookout for a man? Then it occurred to the Bhikkhuni Kisagotami. Now, who is this that recited the verse? A human being or a non-human being? Then it occurred to her. This is Mara, the evil one, who has recited the verse desiring to arouse fear, trepidation, and terror in me, desiring to make me fall away from concentration. Then the Bhikkhuni Kisagotami, having understood this is the Mara, the evil one, replied to him in verse. I've gotten past the death of son. With this, the search of man has ended. I do not sorrow, I do not weep, nor I do fear you, friend. Delight everywhere has been destroyed. The mass of darkness has been sundered. Having conquered the army of death, I dwell without defiling pains. Then the Mara, the evil one, realizing the Bhikkhuni Kisagotami, knows me, sad and disappointed, disappeared right there. Something like this. So that's why she's already a arahant right now. So many times, this Mara will come to tempt the nuns or the monks in many ways. And then in many ways, usually by the time they know him, then this Mara disappeared. So too, the same thing, like Mara sometimes can be our hindrances also, like the desire or anger and so on. And once you know the Mara, that means once you know the sleepiness or the anger, and usually once you know them, they are all contained. Once they contain, you note upon them, they fade away. So too, the same thing. The moment you realize or you awaken from that situation, then all these hindrances and also Mara in that way disappear. Sometimes in other parts of the stories, just now I was going through a few of these connected with the Mara one. Sometimes it doesn't come as just whispering into your ears only. Sometimes they really come as totally a different person, like a Brahmin, like an old lady, and this and that. So sometimes the beautiful ladies come in front of us, and then we say, "Mara 来了, Mara 来了, Mara." Anyway, let's go back. Okay. All right. Now here in the Dhammapada verse 178, far better than the sovereignty over the earth, or far better than going to the abodes of the devas, or far better than ruling supreme over the entire universe, is the attainment of the Sotapatti fruit. That means become a Sotapanna. Sovereignty over the earth, here is the Chakrawati. Usually we use the word universal monarch. Before, when the Buddha is not around, when there's no Buddha, there will be times that there are universal monarch. That means the whole world, according to the Buddhism, this time is that when the whole world has only one king, and it's called the universal monarch. Has one king in the sense that this king, when he ruled the whole world, he doesn't use sword and fist and fighting and violence. He ruled them with righteousness. Every beings in this, or every human beings in this earth, comes under his rule. In the Pacceka Buddha, it's mentioned that the Pacceka Buddha, not Pacceka Buddha, the Gautama Buddha, And the Gautama Buddha in his past life, many times, he became also the universal monarch. So it says, so the Buddha says it's far better than being a universal monarch. The universal monarch also, of course, is a story on its own, according to Buddhism, and about the 7 treasures and what and so on and so forth. A lot of things to talk about. So the wealth and comfort and everything is it's unfathomable. We cannot able have imagined the type of wealth that they have. You think of the richest person in the world, or you combine a few richest person in the world compared to a universal monarch. This is nothing also. It's totally nothing. So this is what the Buddha says. Far better than a universal monarch, far better than a sovereignty over the earth, or going into the Deva planes, or Devas here also meaning that not only just the Devas, but including the Brahmas also. So much more better. And yet here we want to die, we want to go Deva plane here and there, kai. Anyway. Now, once the person attains Sotapanna, once attained Sotapanna, then of course he cannot have any form of wrong beliefs or wrong ideas or wrong teachers. Here I've got to make it again very clear. It is connected again with the total confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. The Sotapanna can still question, some of the things in the sutta, because he may not, or he or she may not able to understand it fully. Okay? He may not able to understand it fully. But he cannot. But those things that the Sotapanna knows, that means the Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, in the sense that he or she uses this for enlightenment, for the purpose of enlightenment. He has no question about that. He has no question, because he uses those paths to attain to where he is. Therefore, how do you going to have a question over it? Then you don't have the idea whether vipassana can work or not. This rising falling can work or not, or this in breath out breath can work or not. How come Buddha did not say in breath out breath? Oh no, sorry. How come the Buddha didn't say rising falling and then you all use that rising fall? All these type of things, the Sotapanna have no doubt and know all this type of things. He may not know, for example, he may not know the whole full Anapanasati Sutta, but he knows the practice of using Anapanasati as a practice to gain enlightenment. So the Dhamma here is not the Dhamma in the text. The Dhamma here is the Dhamma that he fully understood, have seen. The Dhamma that he has seen or fully understood through his own development, his own practice. Because in the Buddha's time, as I said, many of the monks do not have much of the Dhamma, but they know the practice. Once they know the practice, once they attain the enlightenment, they know the Sila, Samadhi, Panya. They know that the Buddha is the one who talked about it, the true Dhamma, that he sees it himself. And also the community of people who has that type of Dhamma too. And not only he is the only one, but the community of people which is fall under the Sangha. So this one has more meaning than you just thinking about just what you read and what you know. It's far more deeper. It's far more deeper than what we think it is. So the type of Saddhā here, you cannot shake Sotapanna in the sense that you tell him there is no such thing as the Dhamma, or there's no such thing as the enlightened people, and so on. There's no such thing as Sila, Samadhi, Panya, and so on. They cannot go out of that way. So they cannot go out of that way. They cannot take any wrong beliefs, idea, teachers, and so on. Even as I said, even Sotapanna do not take the idea of a different teachers, even though other teachers may say the right things also, But the other teachers saying the right things in a certain area, but in the overall, it may connected to wrong view. So the Sotapanna also know a bigger perspective of just a small little part of what other teacher says. So it cannot like Sotapanna cannot go like quoting these people, quoting that people, and so on. And he knows that some of the ideas are good, but there are some ideas are connected with wrong view, which is not good. He can able to see through that. So all these wrong beliefs and wrong ideas and so on, all kinds of things. But doesn't mean that he cannot doubt what has been said. Sometimes, for example, like in the people, some monks wrote in the Dhamma books and so on. He can still doubt. This is not something what the Buddha said and so on. He can still doubt what is the other Sangha members talking, Although he may be a Sotapanna as a lay person, but he may still doubt what the other Sangha is talking about, or ordained Sangha talking about, and he knows that something here is something wrong and so on. He knows about it, but sometimes these things is so difficult to convince people. Just difficult because a lot of people have a lot of idea swaying from this and that. The faith is not fully grounded, fully unshaken. Okay. So the next one I mentioned here, if the faith is prominent character of a yogi, then the realization of Nibbana through the gateway of impermanence and the experience of Nibbana as signless element, animita dhatu. I talk about it quite a lot, on this part when we talk about the third noble truth. That is somewhere in April or March or somewhere there, the third noble truth. Then only I realized when I look at when I did this, then only I realized that, wow, I just keep the fourth noble truth so long already. Anyway, because the fourth noble truth is what you need to do. That's why it need to be long. The third noble truth, you realize, you don't need to talk so much. You need to realize the third noble truth only. But the fourth noble truth, you must know what to do, how to do, when not to do, what to do. So there's a lot of things we talk about in the fourth noble truth. That's why it takes quite a long time. Okay. Now, you see, many of us, we have a difference in our character. And basically, for the stage of liberation, for the stage of enlightenment, you normally categorize the yogis into three characters. In the sense of, you have a faith character, or your character is more prominent towards faith, or your character is more prominent towards tranquility or concentration. That means you're more peaceful type state of mind. Or the next one, the third one, is you are more towards wisdom. So the three characters. So if your nature, if your character is everyday character, and also this character is part and parcel of what you bring from your past life also. So when it comes to this character, then you can able to have then when it comes to the realization of Nibbana, then usually this yogi will notice the arising and passing away as impermanent. This incessant arising and passing away, changing and changing and changing before enlightenment occur. So they see it as impermanent again and again, changing and changing and changing, arising, passing away, that all these things is going into destruction, going into disappearance, coming again, keep on changing. So when he noticed this, when he experienced Nibbana, he experiences a signless element. Signless, animitta. The word nimitta here is not conceptual nimitta. Sign here does not mean a conceptual sign. Here what it means by nimitta here is the mind and body process. It's a mind and body process. That means just before he attains enlightenment, he sees this arising and passing away. That means the mind and physical processes that is occurring and occurring and occurring again and again. And then when he touches, or when he realizes Nibbana, when he sees Nibbana, then he sees cessation. Cessation of this mind and matter, or mind and body, or mind and physicality, or physical processes. So when he doesn't see that, and compared to earlier on when he sees again mind and matter, and now he doesn't see mind and matter, he sees there's an opposite, there's a total opposite. One there is, and one is cessation. So this one they name it as signless element, animitta dhatu, as when they experience Nibbana. Okay, when they experience Nibbana. Now, just to catch up on this gateway, just to that we go back to a little bit on the Third Noble Truth, just give you what you mean by this. Can see? Triple gateway of liberation. Okay. Now, usually, if those who are more of faith, this one, as I say, you say, if your character is of faith, then you will see a signless liberation, or animitta vimokkha, signless liberation, or liberation how you want attains Nibbana. It's just a different name. So you will see anicca, dukkha, anicca as a very prominent aspect of it. Doesn't mean that you don't see dukkha, anatta in the past, You see dukkha and anatta also in the past, but just before you attain enlightenment, then the anicca becomes a very prominent aspect of it. And usually, when you notice anicca as a very prominent aspect, then the citta nupassana becomes also prominent. That means here, the citta nupassana, because of the mind, the states of mind, and you see the arising and passing away in the mind, then here the citta nupassana are very clear to the yogi. Doesn't mean that, again, doesn't mean in the past he doesn't seen a dukkha, a vedana, or kaya nupassana. He also seen, but just before enlightenment take place, usually is the citta nupassana for those who are signless liberation. Just to put it into there, it doesn't matter which one you are in, as long as the enlightenment, that's the most important thing, isn't it? That is the most important. But this is just because some of us are a bit more technical, some of us like to know a little bit more, how is it like, and we give you a little bit here. So number 2 is the desireless liberation, apanihita vimokkha. So this one, your faculty, and your power also is towards more of a concentration, and towards more of concentration is more of a peaceful state of mind. Peaceful state of mind. Therefore, here this time you will see the arising and passing away as dukkha, as something as not pleasant. And this arising and passing away, something that you don't want to see. Not to say don't want to see. It kind of like you want to pull the mind out from this arising and passing away, and you find that this arising and passing away as if like a boil, as if like a some disease, this arising and passing away, something unpleasant to your perception. So that time you see the arising and passing away so much. And then because you see it in that way, then usually Kaya and Vedana Nupassana are obvious to the yogi. Obvious to the yogi. So after that, he attains the desireless liberation. So because desireless, because once you notice the arising and passing away, all this mind and materiality are in a way desirable. In the past, you notice that this arising and passing away, this mind and matter, in a way desirable. But once you turn into cessation of this nama rupa, this cessation of all the dukkha, and then you see that there's no desire in the nibbana. That's why what is called desireless liberation. So third one a little bit. Here is the voidness liberation or empty liberation, sunyata vimokkha. Now here, this one, sometimes the voidness or emptiness, a lot of times people misunderstood the word sunyata or void. You don't have to wait until you have what do you call that? Realize nibbana, only you understand this sunyata. Sunyata, for during in the practice, when you are not even enlightened yet, when the mind is very clear, when you see this sunyata as the arising and passing away of materiality and also mentality, you see it changing again and again and again and again, because you see it again, it's changing so much. Then you see it as this is not mine. This is on their own, they are changing. This is with condition. When the condition comes in, they arise and they pass away. It is void of a self. Doesn't mean void of everything. It's not void of everything as no materiality, nothing inside there. There's something arising and passing away. We are not talking about nibbana yet. We are talking about the practice while you are still in the state of arising and passing away. So when they see the arising and passing away, they see it as it is not mine at all. It is just, it comes, it goes by its condition on its own. There's no control over it. So when they see it in that way, they see that there's no I that is involved, or I or me that is involved. So there's no I, that they see it as emptiness, sunyata. Not because there's no materiality, doesn't mean that there's no five aggregates, when we are still in a state of practice. But when you are enlightened, because you see this arising and passing away, again, there's no I, there's no self, there's nothing. Then when you get enlightened also, when you see the nibbana, or when you realize nibbana, then you see it as something empty, that this nibbana is not mine also. This nibbana is not conditioned by other things, This nibbana is totally, of course, right now is empty of nama, rupa, all the five aggregates is totally empty of it. But it's exactly because of empty of a self, therefore it's totally empty in that sense. So this is because that the wisdom is powerful. This type of yogi, the wisdom is powerful, then they see this nature of anatta. And therefore, if the one who sees anatta, usually in the Dhammanupassana, then the anatta, it's much more clearer to the yogi. Usually it's much more clearer to the yogi. So this is just to give you an idea. As I said, as long as you are anywhere able to enlightenment, then it's perfectly okay. Now, here number 3, void, empty, or those people with wisdom anatta, those are very few. First one is a lot. First one is a lot. Second one is somewhere in the middle. Third one is very few. And also this one you will see also that these are also in the Buddhist circle also. Now here the faith here does not mean that just because you have you are a scientist or you are a doctor, you're highly intelligent job and so on, it makes you having a lot of wisdom. It's not that. It's not that. Intelligent and wisdom is totally different thing. There are people who are very intelligent, right up to a high rocket scientist or whatever. They can understand very deep state of physics or mathematics or whatever, but their inclination can be towards faith also. So not necessarily the intelligence is equivalent to wisdom. Not necessary that. At that time we'll talk about that in wisdom. So this is the gateway. All right. Next one. So after enlightenment, what to do? After enlightenment, what can we do? Now, after enlightenment is this great joy. Yeah. Here, great joy here, what it means here is this, that when you have this enlightenment, after enlightenment, then usually after enlightenment, just after enlightenment, then there's a type of joy arises in the yogi, in a particular enlightened one, a newly enlightened one, newly minted enlightened one, which is good. So he does not know why if sometimes there are yogis who just pass through Nibbana without realizing they have gone through Nibbana. And as I said many times in the past, when once attain Nibbana for the first time, it lasts only just maybe a second or two only. But the factors, the mental factors after you come out, it becomes so strong and so powerful. So powerful that joy arises in the mind and in the body. When it arises in the mind, that means that this type of joy can be slightly overwhelming. And well, the Mahasi Sayadaw also mentioned that once who attain first stage, sometimes he may not able to meditate for a while, because of that joy is a bit overwhelming. He's not attached to the joy, but it's just come with the development of the mind. So that type of joy is so very strong. So it may disturb shortly, just for a while, maybe a day or two, with the joy arises, but he doesn't attach to it. He also knows that this type of joy finally will just arise and passes away. After that, he will continue meditating again if the time is still there. Now, in the physical aspect, one attain enlightenment also because of his purity of the mind. In the past, before enlightenment, he already have built up on the concentration, on the faith, on the energy, on all the faculties, and keeping away all the negative and all the as a power also, you keep all the negativity all away. So now the mind is super pure, very pure, and very deeply concentrated, deeply penetrative. And once you touch the enlightenment, it is equivalent to the level of a jhana. It's a Panna samadhi already. It's not Kanika samadhi, but this time it's Apana samadhi. It's absorption concentration. So once you get absorption concentration, the mind is, and also physicality also becomes very bright. So bright that sometimes the yogi, the face sometimes you can see when you meditate, or you can see others meditate. Sometimes you notice that after they meditate, after 2 or 3 weeks, the face gets so bright, so clear, and Ching, and that type of clarity, you can see that in the face itself. So too, the same thing when enlightenment takes place, the mind is totally, absolutely become very clear. So it's great joy in that sense. The joy and the energy, everything comes up in the mind, in the body also. So so here, after when he starts to meditate again, from here onwards, of course, he knows the practice very clearly. But nevertheless, the Sotapanna still needs to be guided once in a while. Not necessary all the time. Not necessary all the time, but once in a while still need to be guided. And here one of the things is that there's no imperfection of insight anymore, especially regarding with Adhimokkha. Last week when it says that regarding with Adhimokkha, that means those people before enlightenment, when you meditate, and then you begin to see Buddha, you begin to see the stupas, and you become to see monks, or you become so attached to the whole concept and so on. That because of your Adhimokkha is strong. But now when you see those things, because if you are faith inclined, when you see these things as when you are enlightened, you don't have all this attachment to them. Although you may still see them, it means that you're still able to notice that sometimes you may, imagination may come in with thoughts of monks or teachers or their teachings and so on, may come in. It gives you some joy while thinking of it, but it does not, the yogi or the Sotapanna does not attach to these type of things. Doesn't mean that there's none, there's no imperfection in it, but this type of thoughts still occur in the yogi because of his inclination of faith, his characteristic or his character of faith. Now, when it comes to this balance of faith, unshakable faith does not mean is that it's overwhelming faith. Some people thought that this unshakable faith is all the time. You are like, like so strong and so. There's not unshakable faith. That is usually when you see this type of people with that type of energy, with this type of faith, and usually they are overwhelmed already by the faith, in that sense. This is not the way of Sotapanna. Say for example, sometimes I saw in the sometimes Katina possession or sometimes Vesa possession and so on, and when they are happen to go and carry, let's say, a Buddha Rupa in the top of the head, then they walk in front. Oh, they are such an overwhelming faith. They walk with a Buddha on top of the head, and then they lead the procession with that overwhelming force. Sotapanna don't do like that. That is not the way of Sotapanna. Sotapanna comes with right knowledge and right wisdom. The right knowledge here, it comes with the knowledge of all his practice, has all his understanding about the practice. Not that type of overwhelming type of faith that you can see that in the Puthujjana. So when this type of faith occurs, then when this type of balanced faith occurs, then it rightly belongs to the Sotapanna. Now, after enlightenment, so the Sotapanna wants to go and practice again, further into the development. So what the Sotapanna should do? Again, the same thing, back again to the arising and passing away. He cannot able to stay in the Nibbana all the time. He may realize Nibbana some of the time, but he has to come out from Nibbana and to notice the arising and passing away of the mind and body again. All the process of mind and body again. Now, this time when he practiced, the imperfection, as I said, it will not come in. The development, it will keep on going already. That keep on going as long as the Sotapanna make an effort to go carry on the practice. If the Sotapanna stop the practice, that means the progress will also stop. But nevertheless, as the Buddha says, that it comes to at the longest 7 lifetime, you will get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth, out of samsara. But of course, the Sotapanna also can able to attain it in this very life, or in that very sitting, or in a few more sittings, or a few more retreats. He can able to attain it. But doesn't mean that it is easy. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It's still far away. Like sometimes I gave the simile of how far is Sotapanna until Arahantship. Of course, it all depends for one person. But generally, for normal people, I mean, if you are enlightened, you're not so normal anymore. You're much more better than a lot of people. But anyway, just to say normal and Sotapanna, in order for Sotapanna to attain until Arahantship, are still very far away. Doesn't mean that it's easy. Sotapanna, if it's going into a Malaysian standard, you are just like after primary school. If when you there's standard 1 until standard 6. Sotapanna is that you reach about Form 1. Sotapanna, you reach about there. To us, if for those who are not understand what I'm talking, we start off our school level at 7 years old. As a standard 1, we call it. When you have 6 years in the school, then after that you go into a secondary. So it's just about you start off with a secondary, that this is so that means about 12 years old or 13 years old. That is about your Sotapanna. Until you want to get enlightenment. Enlightenment is PhD. Still very far away. That means there's still a lot of anicca, dukkha, anatta to be seen. But this time, the wheel is kept on turning already. The wheel will not stop already. This time the wheel will keep on turning. Before you attain enlightenment, that is where the wheel can stop. The turning can stop. But this time, no. The turning will go on already until Arahantship, until you get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. And how much you want to turn it, how fast you want to turn it, all depends on your resolution, on how far you want to go. Now, you see, here, we go back to here again. Although an enlightenment person, although he has this attainment faith, unshakable faith, but once in a while, in his own practice as an enlightenment, sometimes he may over-push his faith also. Once in a while, he may over-push his faith. When he over-push his faith, then it affects another faculty, which is the faculty of energy, the viriya energy, and they are connected in a sense. Now, give you an example. For example, the Sotapanna has reached already. He has reached Sotapanna already. He says that this is not enough. The Buddha says that must practice all the way until we cut off every of our defilements. Wonderful, good. So he practiced day in, day out. Practice. Then after practice some time, I say, "Ayo, I practice over so long already. How come my arahantship belum dapat lagi? How come arahantship hasn't attained the arahantship yet?" Which is also, you've seen that in Sutta, How come this arahantship hasn't reached there yet? I put in so much energy, put in so much this one. So here, because of his resolution, he really want to attain that arahantship. So he practice, but still cannot get there, still cannot this one. Then sometimes in a while, he felt very down, not slightly down, but of course he will not stop. Not like a putujana, but this time he will not stop. Just for a short while, he will pick up himself, he will go again. Until he knows how to fully balance the whole thing. So the balancing, it will still take place after enlightenment. Doesn't mean that after enlightenment, everything will be fully balanced. There's no such thing, because all this Saddhā and Viriya and so on later on, that other talks that we're going to talk, all these are subject to impermanence also. Subject to impermanence. And as I said that last week also, I mentioned that even Arahant also, this Saddhā and Viriya, and they can go imbalance also in one point or another. Because again, these are not eradicated by Arahant. They eradicate the defilements. It's true. So the defilements does not disturb them anymore. But this thing is still still being conditioned. Still, they arise and pass away. That means sometimes they can go stronger, sometimes they go less. So, in other words, for a Sotapanna or Sakadagami, they want to practice further, further into the development. They also have to be careful of the balancing. Does not mean that just because that you don't have imperfection of insight, doesn't mean that you don't balance. You still need to balance. You need to hold on to your resolution. Don't let it become too strong. When it becomes too strong, the energy also becomes too strong. So you got to hold on. You have to keep repetition, practice day in, day out. Keep it going. So this is what we call adhikama saddha. It will keep you rolling. Once the attainment faith is there, the path is so much more smoother. The practice is so much more smoother. That time, you don't have a problem with the practice of. Last week I've mentioned that some yogis may think that how come this turning the stomach can turn like that? How come the stomach can roll in this way? How come the one in-breath can come out, the other out-breath goes in, or the one nostril come out, the other nostril go in? This type of phenomena that comes up in the Sotapanna. The Sotapanna has no doubt about all these things. Whatever that comes up, however they change, in no matter what way they change, the Sotapanna has, and the Sakadagami and all of them, they have no problem with it. They don't have like something wrong with my practice or something wrong with this and that. That time the faith is unshakable in the sense of when they see the object, any of the object, there's no such thing as doubt arises, because after all, they eradicate all the doubts already. So what is important here is that they will keep on going and going and going until the enlightenment takes place. Let me see, what else do I have? So we will talk about the next one in the next week, Monday. We'll talk about it on Monday. We're going to go into the faculty of wisdom. Now, when we go to faculty of wisdom, again, because of their balancing, I go back to this one. So when we go to the wisdom, when we're going to talk a little bit on faith, because when you talk about faith, you need the faculty of wisdom. When you have faculty of wisdom, you need to have faith also. They cannot run from each other. So this one, we're going to talk about them in the more deeper aspect than what we have talked about in the clear comprehension or in the the wisdom where we talk about it in the past. We're going to talk about it in a more deeper aspect of it. Okay, so we stop here for now. And also on Friday, we have a Q&A session. If you have any questions for you to ask, then you may send your questions to Sister Hun Ling, and her phone number is already on there. Okay, so let us share merits.